Okay, what about this time?
Even though there's a beer on, doesn't mean you have to.
Okay? Okay.
I'm covering my face. Cover your face and let me cover your face. Oh, hell no. I know language.
Ready, everybody? Get up!
Get down! Get down!
One more trees across this town. Get up! Get down! One more trees across this town. Get up!
Get down!
One more trees across this town. Get up! Get down! One more trees across this town. Get up! Get down! One more trees across this town. Get up! Get down! One more trees across this town. Get up! Get down! One more trees across this town.
Thank you, everybody! Please coalition and the Stop the Cross Bronx Expressway Coalition.
I don't know. Oh, there it is. Check, 1, 2. All right. Everyone good? Good? Good. Awesome. I like your hat. I'm just moving this because it's too windy up top. All right. Morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Garcia, and I'm the Senior Transportation Planner with the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance. Thank you. Today, we're standing as a group of transit, environmental, and youth advocates united in the fight for a just highway system, one that protects community health, our environment, and our futures. We're honored to be joined by a select group of elected officials representing our communities here in Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. Right now, Governor Hochul and DOT are planning not one, but 3 highway expansion projects. Ooh. 2 of which threaten the neighborhoods that low-income residents, immigrants, and people of color predominantly call home. The Brooklyn, Queens, and Cross Bronx Expressways are 2 of the dirtiest, most congested corridors in all of New York City. The BQE and Cross Bronx Expressway have plagued generations of Black and brown residents with toxic pollution and disease. Residents in our neighborhoods face some of the highest asthma rates and heart disease due to consistently poor air quality and dirty emissions. Meanwhile, up in the Catskills, DOT plans to widen Route 17 while they ignore real problems like potholes, high crash rates, and dangerous intersections on local roads. But research shows that widening a highway only leads to more congestion, not less. Hochul's highways will only harm a new generation of New Yorkers and rob them of vital green space and clean air. And in the midst of yet another summer of record-breaking heat, flash floods, smoke from Canadian wildfires, and heat-related deaths, they'll lock in unlivable climate conditions. Our neighborhoods and future generations deserve far better. We won't allow the state to repeat this cycle and stiff our communities with useless, polluting infrastructure. Governor Hochul and DOT must cancel their destructive plans and listen to New Yorkers. We want safe, sustainable ways to get around, not more asphalt highways. Today you'll hear from several electeds and members of the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway Environmental Justice Coalition and the Stop the Cross Bronx Expressway Coalition. And first, I'd like to call up, a champion for divesting from highways and a longtime advocate for safer streets, our City Comptroller, Brad Lander.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Let's hear it for Nija. And let's hear it for these great young leaders from El Puente. I only walked in as you guys were doing it, so can I hear it again? Ready? 1, 2, 3, get up, get down. Plant more trees across this town. Get up, get down. Plant more trees across this town. Get down. Plant more trees across this town. All right, you guys are awesome. Great to also be out here with Tri-State and Transportation Alternatives and Stop the Cross Bronx Expressway and the Bronx River Alliance. And who else am I missing who's out here? The Brooklyn Heights Association. And with such great fellow elected officials as well, Senator Fernandez, Assemblymember Nitpatane, Assemblymember Gallagher, Borough President's Office, our Deputy Borough President. Give it up for all of them. So a few decades ago, Robert Moses showed us what it looks like to wreck a city by expanding highways and building new ones, by focusing on cars. He choked our city in so many places. And I thought we had learned those lessons because we know now what it looks like to heal and restore a city. It looks like investing in mass transit, making the subways work, helping make the buses run on time. It means passing congestion pricing, which this crew of people work to do together so that instead of encouraging driving and raising air pollution, leading more people to have asthma, taking more of our neighborhoods up with traffic, we can invest in transit infrastructure, in pedestrian projects, in cycling and mass transit, in the things that make our neighborhoods better. So why are we going back to the ways of Robert Moses? It makes no sense. We do not need a new connector expanding the Cross Bronx and putting more traffic in the Bronx, do we? No. We don't need 6 lanes instead of 4 on the BQE, do we? No. And I'll confess, I don't know that much about Route 17, but I suspect we don't need a wider Route 17 either, do we? No. And we've been joined by New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. But there are so many things we do need, so I was really excited. One thing I want to give Governor Hochul praise for is putting energy in the Interborough Express, which will connect Brooklyn and Queens with a new rail connector. But you know what? When I first saw that project, it had 3 boroughs in it. It was going to be a Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx Express. How about we take the money from the connector and the Route 17 expansion and put it into putting the Bronx back into the Interborough Express? Or how about we finish the 2nd Avenue subway and connect it up to the Bronx? If that's going to take some time, how about we put resources into bus rapid transit, which also can be interborough, and get people out of cars into mass transit? That's where we should be investing in our dollars. not in building more highways. And that will help us to get up, get down, plant more trees across this town, get up. I'm going to turn this time too. Plant more trees across this town. All right, thank you, Alpuente. Thank you to this great coalition. Really proud to be out here with you.
Thank you so much. And next up, I want to invite Maria from El Puente and some of the youth advocates here to share a little bit about, what's going on here in Williamsburg. Maria.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being with us here today on this hot, beautiful day. Right next to this infrastructure, I'm Maria Pulido. I'm a community organizer for El Puente. We're right across the street with a youth-led social justice, environmental justice organization that has been here in the neighborhood for over 4 years. And just take a moment to look around, right? We're like overburdened by trucks. Our young people here that are trying to play in the playgrounds and hang out in this plaza constantly overburdened by noise and air pollution. And we know, like Ratlander was saying, that this is not the way that it has to be. We've already been dealing with this for 80 plus years, and Robert Moses built this highway. And we know this is not just a situation that we're facing right here in the neighborhood. We know that communities across Brooklyn and Queens that were partitioned and impacted by the BQE and have been for so many decades. Shouting out my folks from Jackson Heights over there who joined us, other organizers from neighborhoods across Brooklyn, Red Hook, Brooklyn Heights, all these folks who are coming here together to say no more. And our folks from the Bronx, our friends and families who for so many decades have been overwhelmed and overburdened with massive highways like the Cross Bronx. So we're here to call on Governor Hochul to say no more highway expansions. That's just going to make these problems worse. Our health problems here in the neighborhood, we have one of the highest asthma rates in the entire city because of these transportation infrastructure, because of the highway. And instead of that, invest in community-led solutions, right? Like what would they look like? It would look like mitigation strategies like greening our public spaces. It would mean like no more truck routes right around the schools and right along our playgrounds and public spaces. But to tell you more about that, I want to introduce you to these two wonderful people over here who are going to be starting middle school here in the neighborhood this year. So with that, I'll leave you with Gerardo and Niagara.
Hola, me llamo Gerardo y tengo 11 años. My name is Niagara and I'm 10 years old. We live in the south side of Williamsburg and we go to school here in this block. Nosotros vamos a la escuela aquí en los Sures. Yo voy a empezar en la escuela M50 este año. Estamos aquí hablando porque queremos tener un lugar más bonito, saludable para poder vivir y crecer sanos. Y por eso queremos que haya menos contaminación, más árboles, para poder respirar bien, menos camiones y autopistas, para poder caminar a la escuela seguros. We are here because we want a place that is healthier and more beautiful so we can live and grow safer and better. That's why we want less pollution and we want more trees and plazas in the streets so we can breathe better, and less trucks and highways and traffic so that we can walk to school feeling safe. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please, another round for these young folks. Phenomenal job. I think one thing that Maria mentioned is that, this is a citywide issue along, as, us being here in Brooklyn, it's an issue in the Bronx, it's an issue in Queens. And someone who is really a champion for all New Yorkers, who I'd like to invite up, is our public advocate, Jumani Williams. Please.
Peace and blessings, love and light, everybody, to our entire coalition, to all my elected assembly member, comptroller, deputy, board president. Oh, wrong. All right, out here. I'm so sorry that we have to be out here, but I'm excited to see everyone out here, particularly these young people. Also, these young people, particularly black and brown young folks who are standing up for their communities early, so that their children don't have to deal with what they have to deal with. When Robert Moses built this highway and other highways across the state, he was very clear and explicit that I want to create a space for wealthier, whiter New Yorkers, and I don't care give a damn about poorer black and brown communities. That was a decision that he made. And what I'm asking Governor Hochul to do is not be Robert Moses. You have an opportunity to be better than Robert Moses. And it actually doesn't matter if you're intentionally trying to harm these communities. The fact is, if you continue with this, you will be harming these communities. It is not a coincidence that these communities that are near this infrastructure have higher rates of asthma, have higher rates of health diseases, diseases that harm their health. They are interconnected. We now have data to show that not only does building more highways not reduce congestion, they cause the communities that they live in to deal with diseases that other communities don't have to deal with. At some point, we need leadership that is going to say, I'm going to care about all communities, not just some communities that will be privileged to have some benefit at the expense of everyone else. That's the leadership that we need now. And if we had the leadership back then, these children wouldn't have to be here. They'd be in school, or they'd be playing, they'd be at a day camp or something, but now they are here saying, I just want to breathe clean air. Can they just be able to breathe clean air? We have so many modes of transportation to explore, to build up from our rail system, from our blue highways, if we have money to invest in them. And guess what? We have money to invest in them because you want to expand the highways. And so we know the money exists to create different infrastructure. I am tired of the excuses of convenience and money. My understanding is that there are multiple options that could be chosen here. And the reason we're choosing option one, the excuse is that it will shave 2 years off of construction. I don't care about your 2 years if it means decades and decades of these young people not breathing. I really don't. And you don't have to expand the highways. That's not even in every option. This is a decision you are choosing to do. You are choosing to continue to harm communities to benefit a small amount of people. And all of the evidence shows if you build it, they will come. More highways means more cars, not less congestion. So Governor Hochul, don't be Robert Moses. Don't be that person. Be the leader that we need right now. And be the leader right now, especially because election time is coming up. And I'm going to remind these communities and these folks who cared about them and who didn't. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Public Advocate. And next up, I'd like to invite someone who represents the Bronx and also is working to reduce air pollution, Senator Natalia Fernandez, please.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Hailing from the Boogie Down Bronx. I'm State Senator Natalia Fernandez, and I care about our future. I care about our children. I care about our well-being. And I know the leaders of the state do too. So when their actions show different, we have to show them what the consequences will be. We've seen the consequences of what has happened when those highways came through the Bronx, when communities were disrupted, when health rates went down, when asthma went up. If you've never paddled down the Bronx River, or even up the Bronx River, please do. See the beauty that is there in this city. Coming from the greenest borough, I'm always remiss if I don't highlight the beauty and the natural spaces that are naturally there, that we have to keep protecting to make sure that they naturally stay there. And the fight that has happened in the past needs to be stronger now, because we can't let our community suffer anymore with health disparities, with pollution, with infrastructures that don't help. They're talking about expanding highways. Why not fix the highways that have hurt us before, like the Cross Bronx? Let's talk about capping the Cross Bronx and make sure that we're not letting more fumes into our neighborhoods. We can be conscious here. We have leaders that they say they care. I know we care. But let's really keep the pressure on, because our futures are at stake, our children's lives are at stake, and our health of our state and city are at stake. So shout out to the Bronx River Alliance, because your advocacy is what brought me here today. Shout out to the Point CDC and Loving the Bronx for educating everyone to make sure that we know what happened in the past cannot happen now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. And I think you captured it very well. We have a lot of electeds here who really care about this issue, and one elected official who represents this district and who has been a longtime leader and champion for pedestrian safety, Assemblymember Emily Gallagher. Please.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad to be out here with my community and with so many other communities who have actually been moved to political action because of what we've experienced living by highways. My first political issue was safe streets because I knew people who were killed by the off-ramps of this highway. And I have seen time and again neighbors being injured, maimed, or killed because of the proximity of their lives to the highway. And that doesn't even include the diseases that have already been mentioned by my colleagues. It is very dangerous to live by a highway. And it has mental health impacts as well. Trying to go to sleep next to a road like this, it degrades your quality of sleep. It degrades the ability to release stress and to connect with your community because you don't want to be outside. On these days when there's heavy humidity, the fumes hang over us in the air and choke us all. And it makes it so that we cannot go outside. And that has very bad impacts on public health and on community health and on community safety. So I want to say this is not only an environmental issue and a health issue, this is a public safety issue. We lose almost as many lives to crashes as we do to gun violence. And this is something that is a serious epidemic, and expanding highways will only make that worse. I know that I and my colleagues are tired of short-term solutions for long-term problems. This community has been fighting for over 20 years to cap the BQE so that we have places to play, so that we have areas of green space in an area that is mostly cement, as you can see around you. And we do want more trees and more fresh air, more shade. All of that will help us with the climate impacts that this community faces. And we are a frontline community on the waterfront, and we will flood without more infrastructure, more green infrastructure. So this is an interconnected problem, and this is one that this community takes very seriously. We've seen public health impacts increase and improve by McGinnis Boulevard, where we fought tooth and nail to reduce the lanes. And we see more people using that road now than ever before on foot and on bike. And that is what we need. We need to think with a vision of the future and of the world that we want to live in, not what is the easiest way to get out of a problem quickly and cheaply. So I want to thank all of you for being dedicated to this cause. Folks in the Bronx, folks in Queens, I will continue to fight for you as I fight for my own community members, because a car driving through your neighborhood is a car driving through my neighborhood, quite literally. So thank you so much to the community organizations that put this together, and I'm happy to stand against highway expansion and for creative problem solving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember. And next we'll head down to South Brooklyn. And I'd like to call up Assemblymember Taines, who has been a real leader on regulating e-commerce warehouses and really getting us away from truck dependency. Assemblymember, please.
Thank you, everyone. I am State Assembly Member Marcela Martinez. I'm the first immigrant indigenous Peruvian in the New York State Legislature. I'm really proud to be here with everyone and to stand with you all, with neighbors, with advocates and young leaders, and our fellow elected officials, to say loudly and clearly, no more highway expansions that harm our communities. For decades, the BQE has cut through our neighborhoods like a scar, bringing dangerous truck traffic, toxic air, unbearable noise into the places where our children play, where our elders walk, and where our families live and work. In Sunset Park, the BQE has funneled heavy truck traffic right through our community, polluting the air, shaking our homes, and endangering families walking to school or work. Residents already face higher rates of asthma, heart disease, and an expansion would only make these health burdens worse. Red Hook, a community already overburdened by industrial pollution and climate threats, the BQE's constant stream of trucks and cars brings dangerous air quality and traffic violence to every doorstep of public housing and small businesses. Expanding this highway would lock in decades more of harm instead of providing cleaner, safer streets our neighbors have been demanding. And now, instead of investing in cleaner, safer, more sustainable transportation, the governor and the DOT want to double down on failed, outdated model, pouring billions into widening the BQE and the Cross Bronx Expressway. As history has shown us what happens when you expand highways, more traffic, more pollution, more harm. It is an insult to call that progress. Our communities deserve better. We deserve solutions that center health, safety, and justice, not asphalt and exhaust. We deserve more green space, more trees, safer streets, and reliable public transit that connects us without poisoning our air. We deserve infrastructure that brings people together instead of tearing them apart. The people most impacted, working class families, immigrants, Black and brown communities, have been clear for decades about what we need. The state must listen. It is time to stop these expansions and start building a future where the air we breathe doesn't make us sick, where our streets are safe and our children and our investments in our neighborhoods reflect the value of our lives. So today we say to the governor, hit pause on those projects, work with us, the people who live here, to create a community-led plan that delivers clean air, sustainable transportation, and justice for every New Yorker. Para los que no están escuchando, es importante escuchar lo que nos están diciendo nuestros niños. Nuestras comunidades están en peligro. No quieren más carros, no quieren más camiones y no quieren más carreteras. Lo que quieren es una comunidad saludable donde puedan crecer. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member. I know it's a little hot. We've been out here for a while, but I think we want to re-energize the group a little bit. So Maria, please.
Now we all gotta do the chant with the kids. Everybody ready? All right. Get up, get down. Plant more trees across this town. Get up, get down. Plant more trees across this town. Get up, get down. Plant more trees across this town. All right. Thank you, everybody. Woo!
Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to invite this district's city council member who's been fighting for more green space and for reducing air pollution in this community, Councilmember Gutierrez, please.
Thank you so much. Shout out to the youth, shout out El Puente, and shout out to all the folks, all the partners here. Shout out to the BX as well. My name is Jennifer Gutierrez. I'm the council member. It's a privilege to be able to do this job because I'm only able to do it because of you all here who asked me to fight and advocate for you all in City Hall. And my colleagues have said all of it, right? But I just want to say two more points to Governor Hochul. When congestion pricing, when we finally got that done, it was, in her words, to reduce congestion in Manhattan, to improve the environment in Manhattan. However, she is single-handedly pushing for an expansion of expressways here in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, and Queens. Why are we not good enough for a reduction in congestion? Why are we not good enough for better air quality, Governor Hochul? Better air quality, a stronger environment is for everyone. It's for every single New Yorker. We all deserve it. So when you hear her talk about investing in highway expansions, to do what? For more cars? It is not thoughtful, it is not smart, it is not strategic, and it is outright racist to push that on our communities. Because the only people that are winning are people in her corner that want this done, not us who have lived here, who are raising our kids, who only want the best for our kids. And the second thing I'll say to Governor Hochul, not that she's ever asking for my advice, but we would love to see an investment in a tiny little 15-year-old project called the BQ Green, just right across here, with the intention to do exactly what these people here have been fighting for decades. Decking South 3rd, South 4th, South 5th to create park space because we don't have enough. Investing in a street landscape, in open space
so that children, seniors, every single person can enjoy this community like we deserve, like we're supposed to. So I stand in solidarity with so many of you all here, my colleagues who have, especially my colleagues in Albany. I want to shout out the state reps who are really working hard to hold this governor accountable, because it's not easy going up to Albany and facing the governor when you've been holding her accountable for as long as you have. So shout out to Assemblymember Gallagher and Natalia Fernandez, and if there's other state reps here that I missed, oh, and Marcela, of course, and so many of our state reps. I just want to shout them out because it's not easy. And they're doing it regardless of potential retaliation. So it speaks a lot to who they are. And like Public Advocate Jumani said, let's not forget election year, y'all. Because if they're not listening to us, then they don't deserve to keep their jobs. Y muy brevemente en español, solamente quiero decir que lo que han dicho acá es lo mínimo lo que merecemos. Aire limpio, un espacio para poder criar nuestros niños, un espacio para poder seguir viviendo unas vidas dignas. Y lo que ese gobernador quiere hacer es invertir en carreteras que nadie lo ha pedido. Constantemente esta comunidad ha pedido espacios verdes, parques, calidad de aire mejor, y aún todavía no nos ha escuchado, pero lo que sí ella quiere hacer es invertir en carreteras, en infraestructura que no estamos pidiendo. Así que le exigimos a la gobernadora que nos escuche bien, que cumple con las promesas que ella ha hecho a nuestra comunidad acá en Brooklyn, en the Bronx y en Queens, y esperamos que ella tome la decisión que nosotros queremos. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Member. A lot of this work has been supported by our elected officials, but a lot of the work is happening on the ground as well. And I'd like to invite Sid Sanchez from the Bronx River Alliance to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Cross Bronx Expressway. Sid.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Siddhartha Sanchez. I'm the Executive Director of the Bronx River Alliance, and we are a member of the Stop the Cross Bronx Expansion Coalition. We're gathered here today with communities and neighbors from Queens, from Brooklyn, from the Catskills, to really put out a message around what we want and what we need as communities. We need highway systems that serve rather than harm all of our communities. I want to thank the public advocate for naming the 2 years of construction not trumping decades of harm to our communities. I think that's exactly the issue. And also a shout out to Senator Fernandez for naming the restoration of the Bronx River as a reason to pay attention to this cause. Expanding the Cross Bronx, like the state DOT and Governor Hochul are proposing, does the exact opposite of serving our communities. The Cross Bronx is already one of the most congested roadways in the nation. Over 130,000 vehicles use that expressway every day, with tens of thousands of mega polluting trucks clogging up our roads to move freight and goods to faraway destinations, while drivers from all over the region jam up I-95. Despite this reality that for decades our community has had to endure, the state's proposing to use $900 million that would bring more pollution right to the doorstep of public housing residents, thousands of public housing residents that live next to the Cross Bronx Expressway, right next to the Bronx River, as well as the other communities, West Farms, Soundview, Crotona, all of these communities that haven't been able to open windows for decades because of the pollution. We have the highest asthma rates in the state, and really, this is a crisis for us to have this proposal. Also want to name that proposing a second highway, an expansion of the Cross Bronx Expressway that covers the Bronx River and Starlight Park, is really pushing back or reversing the progress that we've made. It's harming outdoor spaces that we depend on as communities, and that for years we've worked to clean up, to make a resource. So it's removing tree canopy, it's polluting air, and it's creating more congestion. What we want is planning and investment that reconnects our neighborhoods and ensures safe access to parks, to transit, and to local destinations. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you so much, Sid. And next, I'd like to invite Reese from Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice to talk a little bit about what's going on in Soundview. Reese.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. I just want to say a few words. For over half a century, our families in NYC neighborhoods like Bronx River, where Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice have been advocates for our neighbors and their environmental and community health for over 30 years. For over half a century, families in neighborhoods like Bronx River have, which by the way has been spoken of as being within a toxic triangle for how it's surrounded by the gray infrastructure of highways. They have looked down from their apartments through car exhaust caked windows in Bronx River houses, watching the traffic below on the Cross Bronx Expressway, knowing that is exactly the traffic and the exhaust and the pollution that is harming them and their children and giving them asthma. Here in the city, thanks to Robert Moses' urban planning, the CBE and the BQE have already harmed communities for decades, bringing traffic and toxic air pollution to black and brown neighborhoods. Today, New York State Governor Hochul have an opportunity to turn the tide and pick up a new chapter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reese. I know we just wrapped up with elected officials, but I do want to give a shout out to the Brooklyn Borough President's Office. We had the Deputy Borough President's Office, Deputy Borough President here. We also have some reps from his office here as well. But going back to, so next up we're going to invite Assembly Member Amanda Septimo, who's been working to improve air quality in the South Bronx.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Septimo. I represent the 84th Assembly District in the South Bronx. I want to thank every single one of you for being here. I have been fighting for better air quality since I was a teenager, which was quite a long time ago at this point. And the sad reality is that 2 decades later, we're still here fighting for the same thing. It is unbelievable to me that with the climate crisis, knowing that asthma is still the #1 reason that kids in the South Bronx miss school, knowing that our air quality is not improving at the pace or the rate that we need it to, that New York State would say what we want is more highways and more cars. That is unbelievable and it is unacceptable. We will not accept further damage to our community at the hands of the state. We will not stand by as our community is painted into a corner of unhealthy conditions for the next few decades. We are standing up here in solidarity with communities across the city to say enough is enough. Today, we work on correcting the issues of the past. We cannot continue to make those mistakes today. And so I want to thank every single one of you who are here, because the only way that we have ever changed anything in places like the South Bronx is good people standing up to say no, to say enough is enough. And that is what we're saying today. And so I'm an assembly member who has been working on this since I was a teenager. There are kids here who are fighting for a better future. We need to make the right decision at the state level to make sure that these kids have a future where they don't have to be fighting for the dignity of clean air. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member. And next up, we have Dan Wiley from Congressmember Velasquez's office.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda Septima, coming from the South Bronx. And also, I'd like to recognize Marcela Mitanis, the Assemblywoman from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, joining Emily Gallagher and us here in North Brooklyn. Congresswoman Velasquez sends her regards to all the environmental justice community who are fighting for our air and our environment. We've been advocating for decking and putting parks on top, not building more trenches, not dividing further. We have Reconnecting Communities grant, which is to reconnect communities, but to plow more lanes through our neighborhoods is the opposite. That's further dividing communities. And we're here to say enough is enough. Governor Hochul and everyone in Albany, we are not building bigger highways. We are reducing highways, and we are giving them a diet because they're way too fat. No disrespect. All all body types are good, but the body types for highways actually should be slimmer. So from Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez, I want to thank all the kids for being here, because that's what the environmental justice movement is all about. Thank you from Congresswoman Velázquez.
Thank you so much, Dan. And thank you to the Congress member. And last but not least, we have, I think earlier we mentioned this is a statewide issue. We have Taylor from the Catskills Mountain Keeper to talk a little bit about what's going on with Route 17.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here today. My name is Taylor Jaffe. I'm Catskill Mountain Keeper's program manager. Catskill Mountain Keeper anchors the Rethink Route 17 Alliance. So up in the Hudson Valley region and Catskills region, we have an unnecessary $1.4 billion highway expansion proposal in our region. Yeah, this is totally not needed. Governor Hochul and the Department of Transportation have proposed this highway expansion to benefit our communities and reduce congestion, but we all know that that is a lie. Highway expansions induce demand. Our communities do not need and we do not deserve increased air pollution, an increased tax burden, and overall increased congestion. Instead, we're calling on the governor and the Department of Transportation to stop the highway heist. We are standing with all of these communities here to say that it is time to stop sinking billions of dollars into unnecessary highway expansions, and it's time to start investing in our communities. The Rethink Route 17 Alliance is putting forward an alternate vision, and just to give folks a taste of what is possible, using a fraction of that $1.4 billion. For $10 million, we could purchase and install about 250 bus shelters in Orange, Ulster, and Sullivan counties. For $600,000, we could fund the Orange County Roadway Safety Action Plan, which would prioritize approaches to achieving zero fatalities on Orange County roadways and fund safety measures. For $5 million, we could double the number of bus routes in Sullivan County, providing hundreds of thousands of rides each year. These are all very real examples of where we could be spending our community dollars to increase transportation outcomes instead of further burden our communities. It's time to stop the highway heist. The Rethink Route 17 Alliance is standing with our colleagues and allies here to call on Governor Hochul to stop the highway heist. Invest in our communities, not wider highways.
Thank you so much, Taylor. And thank you to the Route 17 Coalition. So as we've heard, expanding these highways would cut through the lungs of our frontline communities and doom New York to another generation of harm. It's time to work with impacted residents, invest in community-backed solutions, and turn the page on the highway's racist legacy. We are saying no more local highways and yes to a just way. Governor Hochul and DOT must halt these expansion projects and adopt sustainable alternatives that protect our health and the environment. Thank you once again to all the advocates here and all the elected officials. And with that, we are happy to take questions from media. Just say your name and where you're from. Yeah.
Samantha Lee from the New York One. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the Five Bridges project, they're going to create an expansion so they can move the traffic while they fix the bridge over the Bronx River and Sheridan Boulevard, different one, and then the plan is to turn it over and create a pedestrian bike path, which is what they've done, not expand the highway. And fixing those bridges, which needs to be done structurally, does not include anything from the reimagining across Bronx and happening. So I'm not sure what the issue is.
So I think, so I'm Jackie Cohen from Tri-State Transportation Campaign. We're working very closely with the Bronx River Alliance and the Stop the Cross Bronx Expansion Coalition. Look, no one is arguing that these 5 bridges need to be repaired, but think about what a bike lane or a pedestrian pathway alongside the most polluting highway in New York would mean. I don't know that I would be the first one wanting to ride alongside and breathe in that dirty air along the Cross Expressway. This is a solution to a problem that nobody in the community asked for. And ultimately, there are many, many other ways that those dollars can be spent to actually connect people to this incredible park, to Starlight Park, and to the Bronx River, which lacks a lot of transit and pedestrian access already. What is proposed by State DOT and by Governor Hochul would not address that, would not provide any, additional beneficial solutions to accessing that green space, which is so desperately needed.
Just to be devil's advocate here, you already have a car under a limited highway, so what's the difference in building pedestrian and bike path there too?
Great question. I think the impact of that second highway, the traffic diversion structure, is the concern. The green buffer that is the canopy that is between the highway and the athletic fields and the river, it would be eliminated with this second traffic diversion structure. So you're literally putting this expansion over the greenest, thickest part of canopy that filters the noise and the air pollution from the highway to the community. And you're asking people to basically access an elevated roadway that's 80 feet up in the air and use that for connectivity, which doesn't make sense. There's already existing routes on East 174th, East 177th that should be improved for connectivity purposes.
But wouldn't you rather have the trucks on the highway rather on streets where people live?
Absolutely.
And also when if they have to close lanes of the highway, you're going to have trucks just sitting there emitting more emissions in one place.
You're absolutely right. We've asked the state to look at regional solutions, not just how do we solve this problem over this place, right? If we can reroute traffic, if we can look at how we redirect vehicles